Okay, today, guys, we're going to be talking about 1.5, which is adding integers. Now, remember, integers were the whole numbers with the opposite non-zero numbers included. So we had 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, on and on and on as far as you can go. But we also had the opposites of the non-zero whole numbers. So we had -1, -2, -3, -4. So we're going to talk about adding integers. And so we're going to look at the four scenarios that we're going to have when we're adding integers. Only four, and there's some very easy rules we can learn that will help us do it correctly every time. So let's look at these four. Here is the first scenario. I've got 5 plus 3. Now, that means 5 is positive and 3 is positive, so I have two positives I'm adding. But you've been doing this all your life, and this is very easy. Uh, um, so the answer is obvious here. Now, the next scenario is if I have the first number positive and the second number negative. Um, then the third scenario, if the first number is negative and the second number is positive. Then the fourth scenario would be if they're both negative. So we're going to look at those four scenarios in depth and see if we can get a rule that will help us add integers. So we're going to look at the number line. This is a number line, and sometimes it helps to see things on a number line before we can come up with rules that will help us. So we're going to look at these four scenarios on a number line and see what kind of answers we get, and see if we can come up with anything that would help us, and see what's similar and what's not similar out of these four. So on a number line, if you're adding 5 and 3, what you would do is you would start here at 5. Okay, and then I'm adding 3, so I'm going to go positive 3. 1, 2, 3. And I end up here at 8. So my answer is 8. Okay, obvious. You knew that. On here, the next scenario, I've got 5 plus -3. So I'm going to start here at 5. And I'm going to go back 3 because I'm adding -3. So it's 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to end up here at 2. So I get an answer of 2. Okay. I think that's pretty plain to see. I think you've done this before, so it's just kind of a review. So here, I start at -5, and I'm going to go a positive 3 distance, that's to the right, 1, 2, and 3. That gives me -2. Then here, I'm going to start at -5. My first number is -5. You always start with your first number. And I'm going to go a -3 distance, 1, 2, 3. That takes us back to -8. Okay, now let's look at these four. I've got 8, 2, -2, and -8. What's similar and what's different? Well, these middle two are similar, except for the sign, correct? You know, we got 2 and -2. They're opposites. And then here, these last, the first and last are similar, the 8 and the -8. They're opposites, but they're very similar, okay? So let's look and see what we did. On the first one, they were both positive, so we added and we got 8, okay? On the last one, they were both negative, and we still added, but we got the sign that both the numbers had, which is negative. Okay, so that's how we ended up with negative. We still added when we had two negatives, but then we gave it the sign that both the numbers had. Now look at the middle two. We get 2 for this one and -2 for this one. Well, here I've got a +5 and a -3, so I had to find the difference so I could get 2. 5 minus 3 is 2. But this one's +2, but because look, the biggest number we have here is positive. So the answer is going to be positive. Here, the largest number, or the number with the largest absolute value, is here, 5. It's negative. It's bigger than 3, so my answer is going to be negative. Now, -5 isn't bigger than 3, but the absolute value of -5 is bigger than the absolute value of 3. So this one wins out, and so my answer is negative. So what kind of rules can we get, or can we, that can we use that will help us to remember this every time? Well, if it has the same sign, like the top and bottom, you find the sum. Okay, that means add. If it has the same sign, you add. Okay, if it has different signs, you find the difference. Okay, that means you subtract. So same sign, add, then give the answer the sign of both numbers. Different signs, like a positive and a negative, doesn't matter which first, what's last, subtract the two numbers, and then give it the sign of the number with the largest absolute value, or we just say the sign of the larger number. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Let's look at this first one. Well, I've got different signs here. -11, +6. That means I need to subtract. So 11 minus 6 is 5. Now, is this going to be a -5 or +5? Well, the number with the largest absolute value, or the largest number is 11 here, so it gets the sign of the larger number, which is negative, so I get a negative answer. Here I've got a 10 plus -5. Well, again, we have different signs, so we're going to find the difference. 10 minus 5 is 5, and the 10 is positive. It's bigger, so it's going to be a positive answer. Here we've got two negatives. Now we have the same sign, so the rule is same sign sum. So we're going to add. So 19 plus 11 is 30. And they're both negative, so we're adding, so we get a negative answer. Okay, look at this one. Same sign again. Same sign sum. -1 plus -8 gives me 1 plus 8 is 9. They're both negative, so my answer is negative. Okay, here we've got a positive 26 and -41. So we have different signs, so we need to find the difference. 41 minus 26 is 15. Okay, and the bigger number, the number further from 0, is 41. So it gets the sign that 41 has, which is negative. Okay, here we've got two things going on. Okay, we've got, let's go ahead and do the last part, same sign sum. So I've got -30 and -46. That gives me -76. So I bring down the 52 plus -76. Now the parentheses are only here to separate the negative on the 76 from the addition sign. Okay, that's the only reason they're there. Has nothing to do with multiplication at all. It's just separating the signs. Okay, so 76 is negative, 52 is positive. Different signs. Find the difference. So we're going to subtract, and if we subtract, we're going to get 24, and it's going to be negative. Okay. 76 is larger than 52, so what's the sign of 76? Negative. So the answer is negative. Okay, let's look at the next page. Here we're going to substitute. Same thing we've been doing, except we're substituting. So for A over here, A is -18. I put -18 in for A, and I show the substitution always. We want to always do that. Same sign sum, -8 plus -18 plus -8. Well, my answer is going to be negative because both numbers are negative. That gives me a -26. 32 plus A, we're going to substitute. 32 plus -18. I'm going to put parentheses around that to separate this plus sign with this negative. 32 and -18, I have to find the difference because they're different signs. Well, 32 minus 18 is 14. And it's positive because the 32 is bigger than 18. It's a positive number. Okay, so here we're going to substitute -18. And for B, it's -3. And then we keep the 30 there. Well, let's do the first two. Same sign sum. 18 plus 3 is 21. They're both negative, so my answer is negative. Plus 30. Now 30 and -21, different signs, so I have to find the difference. 30 minus 21 is 9. The 30 is bigger than 21. It's positive, so my answer is positive. Okay. One more thing we want to talk about before we finish tonight. The additive inverse property. Now, the opposite of any number is called its additive inverse. Well, why is that? A number and its additive inverse add to be 0. So the opposite of 3 is -3, and if I add 3 and -3, I get 0. Okay, the opposite of 5 is -5. If I add 5 and -5, I get 0. Very simple property. It's the additive inverse property, and we have it illustrated here. Any number x plus its opposite gives us 0, and that's what the additive inverse property. Now, a property is something we can't prove. It's just something we notice, we see to be true in every situation. Okay, so again, additive inverse property, a number plus its opposite is equal to 0. And that should do it for tonight. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope this helps. Thank you.